there's another side, and that's what you just said is exactly why I'm uncomfortable with these documentaries, is because you only hear one side, and it's one of the most persuasive things, and also the most, you have to be very, very careful about watching these because their only mission is to give you one side, and that makes me really uncomfortable.
You know, you make me think. I kind of hear my dad speaking a little bit when I hear you say that because I know that he was always very fair and wanting to hear both sides. And sometimes I get thrown, I'm gonna be honest, I love documentaries. I love them. And sometimes I get you know, I get too engrossed in it where I'm not thinking that, hey, there's two sides of this story. And I think you make a good point. You have to think, hey, wait, what's the other side?
Here, what we get is nothing's wrong. We didn't do anything. Everything's fine.
They punch me, strangle me, take things from me, sit on me.
Give it to him hard!
He's not safe on that bus.
I've been on that bus. They are just as good as gold.
Welcome. It's movie night. Tonight, Ruben, we're looking at a film titled Bully. It's a 2011 documentary directed by Lee Hirsch. This film takes you to mostly an Oklahoma area. There's a couple of schools that it hits in the Midwest. And this director looks at about 5 or 6 young people and their lives in school and how they've been bullied. There's one young man that they focus on throughout most of the film. His name is Alex, and he is tormented by kids on the bus, kids at school. He even speaks in the film that some teachers tease him, and he mentioned some of the things they said. So it's just not the kids only. One of the things that really, before I go on, I do want to say this. I really enjoy this film. It's very difficult to watch. I'm gonna be honest with the audience right now. It's difficult to watch because I feel like I bullied my brother Ruben here, and so just watching that, it really hit home to me. It hurt me because somewhere in the film, there's a young boy who says, "Oh, I used to be a bully. I don't bully anymore. I bullied, and I figured out that was wrong." And and he saw that his friend got bullied. And I know for me, I was bullied personally. I'll say personally, I was bullied. I was tormented in middle school by people. I don't think I even shared that with my family too much because I was just tormented. I had one bully who just beat up on me and took my lunch money. And so I think that's part of the reason why I even bullied my brothers, mostly Ruben. But that being said, watching this film brought up those memories, Ruben, of being ugly and being ugly, people being ugly to me because I was singing in a choir at middle school or being the smallest kid on campus. This young boy, Alex, is tormented. And at one point, Ruben, in the film, the director stops and he says, "Gotta let the parents know. Gotta let the school know." Because this kid is being tormented, and they do that. And the parents, I can tell the father really doesn't know what to do with it. The mother is upset and she wants it to stop, which is great. The school, boy, they really paint a bad picture of the school and the administrators. There's this assistant principal that's focused on in the school that just, has a sweet voice, but she does not listen to the kids. There's a scene where a boy is basically telling this assistant principal, this guy bullies me, and he's not going to stop. I shake his hand. Nothing's going to stop. And she's like, no, no, you don't know. And she's not listening to him, And so you see that, and I was thinking to myself, boy, this film's going to live forever. And these people are not portrayed very well. But I think that's a real thing happening in our schools. You see a couple, I'm not going to go into all these students, but a couple of the students, you realize that they pass away. And one of them, by the name of Tyler, his parents get involved and they start this real cool remembrance of him. This program that is really, and I think it's not only in the Midwest, but even in the West and the rest of the country, where you focus on anti-bullying week and you speak up, and they encourage you to speak up. So I know at my school and at schools I've been to have really come a long way with the anti-bullying movement. But overall, Ruben, I really enjoyed the film. It really saddened me. It really brought some memories, uncomfortable memories, and yeah, it really it touched me. This film.
Yes, and I want to talk about this film, and only because you brought me up, I do want to mention that the thing that I would only question is the idea that, oh, the reason I did this is because I received this. The only reason why I want to comment on that is because I hear my students talk like this sometimes. And I've heard, and not just students, but people talk like this. But yes, there are people who act out because they received it, but most people don't act out. When we did this discussion about sociopaths and killers, oh, now I know why Ted Bundy killed. It's because he was abused. But I remind my students that most people who've been abused don't kill and don't harm in extreme ways. There's multiple reasons. It's complicated. So,
That's a good point. That's a good point. Not everybody's,
yeah, there might be more reasons than you think than why you did that. You know what I mean? Like it might be a little more complicated than that.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Now, I have a hard time watching this, and I got in trouble for giving my opinion on the last serious documentary we saw, and it's like, so I have to be careful how I say this, but the way in which a documentarian, his mission or her mission is to persuade you on their side and not to give the other side. This is why I tend to not like serious documentaries. Again, I have to say this. We did it in another movie. I'm sorry if I don't like it. It's just something I don't really enjoy watching because it's very persuasive and we don't hear the other side. It's just not something I'm interested in.
What would be the other side of bullying, though? I mean,
No. I'm not saying there isn't. Well, I'll tell you right now. There's always another side. There's always two sides. This is why we have law. This is why we have court proceedings in this country. It's because this is what we mean by what's the legal term? Due process. Is that you have to hear the other side. There's always another side. Of course, there's no two sides to bullying. That's absurd. And of course, I didn't want to see this kid being bullied. And they showed moments of this kid being bullied. So I actually was referring to Tyler Logan. I was thinking about Tyler Logan. You mentioned another kid. And I think I actually wanted to mention a case where there are some really strong and awful instances of bullying in this documentary, including a point in which this kid approaches this teacher is trying to get these two kids to shake hands, one of whom was bullying the other, and the kid didn't want to shake the bully's hand. And this kid tells the teacher, he called me a P and threatened to stab me, kill me, and drop me. And then the teacher responds, he said he was sorry. So obviously, this is clearly a case of incompetence on the teacher's part. So we don't really need to know the other side because they show the visual of that. So you see that, of course. So one can watch that and just think teachers are incompetent. And really, it's a very persuasive documentarian trick where you walk away thinking the schools are incompetent. They're not stopping bullying and things like that. No, we could just look at that instance and say that's wrong. When you hear a student saying something like that, you need to report it, that a student threatened the life of another kid. Not, well, he said he was sorry. That was awful.
Right.
Now, so on one hand, of course. Now, let's talk about this kid, Tyler. Again, these documentaries are intended to persuade fully without giving you the full picture, which is very dangerous, in my opinion. I shouldn't say dangerous. You have to be very careful. How's that? I have to be careful with my words. You have to be very careful to really think through this. This kid, Tyler, looked like he was mercilessly bullied. And he committed suicide. How could you not feel for this kid? Of course you're going to feel for this kid. So there's no but for that. You feel awful. And so by way of also more information coming along with it that was not documented in this show, this piece, he did have bipolar and Asperger's, which is a higher risk for suicide. That wasn't mentioned in this documentary. And the other thing is, this is what's more insightful that I really wanted to bring out. this next piece is that there was a period of time in which there was no documentation of bullying for a long stretch of time. This is why the lawsuit from his parents at the school, the lawsuit towards the school was dismissed. There was no documentation. Now, remember, I'm not saying he wasn't bullied. He could have been bullied during that time, long stretch of time in which maybe the worst bullying was happening. But you have to write this down. So a lot of times we get into this situation where we say, oh, this kid is crying because he was bullied. Who did it? What was the time? What was the date? What did he say? What did he do? Write it down. Write an incident report. But if there's no incident report, how can this stand? There's a lot of cases like this in which bullying doesn't get reported or facts are confused.
Are you saying that you're saying the parents should be the ones documenting it? Because of course, I feel like the school blew it by not documenting, but
School
the parents should be documenting.
and parents. No,
Okay.
both, everybody.
No, I agree, both should, but a lot of times the school messes, like showing the film, they don't do it for whatever reason.
No, I'm really talking about the school. I'm saying the school. The school. Okay. But here's the problem too, is if the child doesn't speak up too, that's a problem, obviously, because how would we know? Or if another student speak up, but if they do, you sit down and you write it down and you're specific. So, there are some teachers who will write, yeah, Johnny was acting like a jackass towards Steven. What does that mean? What did he do? What did he say? What time? So forth. These are the details that get lost, and this is why bullying can go on. So within the context of the lawsuit, it was dropped because where's the information? Where's the bullying? How could this judge proceed when there's no information except a parent saying my child was bullied?
Yeah, I get it.
So the parents has a role here too, of course. The parent has a role where they can come in and say, my child did this. I'm just letting you know as I've gone through these cases, clearly he was bullied, but what we as teachers need to be very specific in how this happens and to write it down and to bring it out to admin.
I think in the last 20 years, though, tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like that's been talked to with teachers. I mean, that has been, in professional development that say, hey, you know what, the kids get bullied. This is the procedure. There's a form to fill out. And because we cannot, there's no bullying here. And I felt like I was kind of thrown off a little bit in this film. Like, man, I feel like this is like 30 years ago in a way, because there's no, like you said, there's nobody writing it up. There's no, the administrators and teachers seem to be a little bit backwards, and even the parents not jumping on it quickly. I don't know. I just felt like it just seemed a little odd that it was still taking place like that. I mean, I believe bullying happens, but people should be getting more involved. And I can't see why that wasn't happening.
I agree with you that in my experience, I mean, it's just my experience, it feels like there's more of a handle on this topic. There's more of a discussion. The wording of bullying is, the phrasing, the verbiage around bullying and no bully zone. There's these posters that we put up. Like, it definitely seems that people are on this. So,
it might be regional though too, right? It could be maybe where we live, and maybe other parts of the country are backwards like that they don't get on top of it like they should. I don't know.
Look, okay. So let me ask you a question, because we've been talking about what the school should be doing, what the school should be doing. There's a moment in which Tyler, I keep thinking about this kid, tells his parent, David from school put his hand around my neck and choked me. You shouldn't do that. That's not right. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're not driving to the school and demanding the name of that kid, producing him, and you're not even, how about driving to the school and saying, you tell me who David is. I'm gonna tell. I'm gonna talk to him. I want a conference with the parent.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to feel good about these parents. I'm sorry. I'm watching this and I'm thinking, do you remember that scene?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. They could have done more. I mean, if my kid came home and told me somebody had their hand on him, I would not rest. And I would not rest until it was taken care of.
He
I would
called
have a
me.
probably conversation with that kid's parents, with
Of
that
course.
principal right away. I know I'm meeting with them. If not, I'm gonna find these people. You better make a meeting, and I was thrown off by that too. That seemed kind of strange that they didn't jump on it.
For me, I'm watching this documentary and I'm seeing the parents just saying, that's not right. That's not. And maybe I'm mocking the parent. I don't mean to mock the parent, but he's saying it's not right, but it's come on. And then I'm also watching him being bullied in real time. And I'm thinking, this is exploitation. Why don't the cameraman drop the camera and saying, get your hands off this kid?
They should have done it sooner. They did do it, just to be fair. They did drop it, but it was like halfway through the film. I'm like, man, this kid's getting bullied, and they're just filming this thing. And I think they got a conscience after half of it, but yeah, it was pretty brutal to watch a kid getting. I mean, you really your heart broke for this kid, and especially the father specifically, not the mother. The father, I felt like didn't know what to do with it because he probably never got bullied, or maybe he was a bully, but he just did not know what to do with his son. It was like he saw that his son was a little awkward, and some kids are awkward, but he just didn't know what to do with it. And so I felt bad for the kid. I mean, I'm hoping he's okay. I mean, I'm thinking, gosh, that was what 15 years ago. I hope he's okay today. I don't know, but I'd be interested to see a follow up on that. Now, we want to thank you all for coming on. Ruben and I don't always agree on films. I still like the film. I think it's still worth watching because there's a lot of pluses regarding just making people aware of this happening, and maybe not in where we live, but maybe parts of the country where this is still being allowed. I mean, where I've worked, it's zero tolerance for bullying. Zero tolerance. Even if you hear of it, you jump on. I saw a kid once bullying another child, and I jumped in there. I scared the bejeebies out of that kid and reported it. And I'm like, that was like 15, 20 years ago. And so, yes, we thank you for being with us on this Pawn and Deliver. Please subscribe to our channel. Press the like button. We hope to see you next time, and have a good night, and return to us when we do another movie. Have a good one. Bye-bye.